All right.
Does it sound on?
We are good. Whit, are we on? I want to thank Whit letting us know about that.
Appreciate it, Wet.
And we're live again. All right, so Dr. Smith, go ahead. And you told us about Catholic Studies Academy, what it is, what we're all doing. And one thing we also want to do is let people know of the courses that we're going to be offering and kind of give you an introduction to what makes Catholic Studies Academy unique, but also to kind of give you an introduction of what to expect with your subscription. So the two courses are going to be launching June 1st. You'll have access to those courses, and we're going to roll you out and guide you through a systematic study of philosophy and theology. And so the first one that Dr. Buzzichelli will be rolling out is Fundamental Theology, along with a mini course of Introduction to Fundamental Theology. So Dr. Buzzichelli, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and let us know what those courses entail. What are they gonna look like? What can we expect?
Right. So first of all, as far as my credentials go, is that what maybe we should discuss? I did a master's degree in philosophy at Marquette University and a licentiate or a master's degree in religious studies at Providence College. A licentiate in systematic theology at the Dominican House of Studies, and the doctorate in sacred theology at the International Marian Research Institute in Dayton, Ohio, in connection with the Marianum in Rome. So those are kind of my credentials. I've published fairly widely. I've given numerous conference presentations. And I've taught at the college level for the past 16 years, 14 of which was at Aquinas College in Nashville. So I have a great deal of experience in enrolling in this program. Really means learning from an actual professor, and we're not a fly-by-night organization. So that's great. Now, the courses, all right? So why would we have Introduction to Fundamental Theology and Fundamental Theology as our foundational courses? Well, Introduction to Fundamental Theology, what this course is a mini course. It's only 5 sessions, and what we're doing there is we're laying sort of the foundation for the tools essentially that we're going to employ in the study of fundamental theology and actually all of the theology that we're going to do from this point forward. So if one looks at the descriptions for the various lectures that we'll be covering in the introductory class, we're giving a foundation in concepts like tradition, revelation, scripture, right? This sort of thing. This is going to give us the language, basically, that we're going to be using, the reference points, and how to actually think in a theological way. One of the things we do in that particular course, in the very last session, is that we kind of examine a theological question, an open question, and we consider how one goes about. So we apply, basically, what we learned in the previous 4 lessons, how one goes about formulating a theological opinion about an open question in theology. For the fundamental theology course itself, which then follows, what we're doing there is we're asking the basic human questions, right? So in some ways you might imagine this is a philosophy class, but it's not. It starts with questions that are, in fact, really philosophical in nature. But what it does is it approaches the question with a view to touching upon where the limits of natural reason in fact lie, and what then revelation goes on to introduce to this question as a possible answer, right? So when revelation then treats the same question, what does it have to say? How far can we go? That's where we come to see what God reveals about himself, especially in and through Jesus Christ, right, comes to bear upon the fundamental questions of human existence, which of course brings us to the creedal assertions. And we're not doing a breakdown of the creed exactly, right? But we are approaching many of the questions that we find in the creed as ways that revelation responds to the fundamental questions of human existence.
Yeah, and I think that hits very well of part of our mission with Catholic Studies Academy is to, for those of you that already have a solid formation or a solid catechesis, to be able to explain what the church teaches or to reiterate what the church teaches. One thing that we want to bring to this and also help elevate that foundation is to be able to, like Dr. Buzzachelli was saying, was to be able to look at something in contemporary culture and to be able to analyze it from both a philosophical but also a philosophical theological lens, to where we can just say, well, I know that's wrong because the church teaches this, but what we want to do is say, I understand this is wrong, and here's kind of more of a full understanding or a fuller explanation of why this is wrong, or why the church teaches what she does, that it's not only theologically based, solid in what God has revealed to us, but also it's reasonable. It makes sense.
We don't want to just say that it's wrong, but also why.
Yeah. And not just, not just come at it from not to begin every sentence with the church teaches blah,
Right.
but to come at it from a reasonable perspective as well. So that's going to be the first theology course that we're going to roll out June 1st. And that's the introduction to fundamental theology and fundamental theology. And that's going to be the theology course that will run approximately 12 weeks. And then going along with those 12 weeks, you'll also get a 12-week course in philosophy, which Dr. Benjamin Smith will be teaching. And so, Dr. Smith, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of give us a little taste of what we have.
Sure. I want to start by saying I think that Dr. Buzzachelli has too many degrees. But besides that, I got my master's at the Catholic University of America, master's in philosophy, and I got my PhD in philosophy from the Center for Thomistic Studies in Houston. My areas of specialization include political philosophy, so you'll be seeing a lot for me on sort of political philosophy, hopefully not too much just politics, but actually philosophy about politics. In addition to that, I have a pretty wide knowledge of the philosophy of St. Thomas as well as the history of philosophy as well. I have two amazing kids. I've been teaching for over 10 years in philosophy. So that's enough about myself. I have the Introduction to Philosophy course. Pretty much the title tells you what we're going to be doing it. I'm going to be introducing you to philosophy. So it's going to be an opportunity for you to just sort of learn what is philosophy, because that can just be an intimidating topic in itself, right? A lot of people just hear philosophy and they're like, I don't know about that, right? So I'm going to spend some time just introducing you to philosophy. Basically, the approach I'm taking is just starts with the literal meaning of the term, which is the love of wisdom. So we're going to go into what some of the great philosophers have said about what is wisdom, how we acquire it. And then we're going to look at some of the chief modern errors, some of the things that really detract from and subvert the love of wisdom, the pursuit of wisdom. And then we'll end with, in the last third of the course, we're going to look at some of the basic concepts and most important lessons of philosophy, things like demonstrating the immortality of the soul, demonstrating the existence of God, those sorts of things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so those are going to be the two main courses that you'll get for the first 12 weeks. Come September, 3 months later, you're going to get another theology course as well as another philosophy course. And also, to kind of put me on the spot, as you can see, I am the lowest one sitting here. And that is because I am the only one in this panel here that does not have a PhD. But just for...
Does that mean that Dr. Buzzachelli is the highest?
Well,
he's sitting the highest?
I'm also in the middle.
You're also in the middle. Yeah,
right,
I don't know.
Right.
I don't
the
know.
bridge between... Yeah, I don't know. Something like that. I don't know. But
theology is the queen of the sciences.
the queen, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Philosophy is the handmaid.
Oh, yeah,
right?
don't say that too often, because that'll give Dr. Buzzachelli a big ad.
So my name is Jason Gale. I have 5 wonderful kids and a wife who takes care of all of them while I do Facebook Live. And I have undergrad and grad degrees in theology and catechetics from Franciscan University of Steubenville, and I also have a second master's degree in theology from the Maryvale Institute in Birmingham, England, as well as an ecclesiastical license in divinity with a focus or concentration in catechetics as well. And so, it's absolutely meaningless to 90% of the world. So,
do y'all all have too many degrees because you couldn't decide what to do?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you couldn't decide what to study. All right. So go ahead.
They don't offer a PhD.
Okay.
But so my role in Catholic Studies Academy is also going to be providing content that is going to be super practical. What we want to do is also be able to not just help you think philosophically, think theologically, look at current cultural trends, but also many of you probably have roles in your parish where you're a catechist, or you're in charge, you help out with RCIA, or you do whatever Father asks you. Or some of you may be DREs, deacons, any of those things. So you're involved in preaching, all of these, what the church just simply calls the ministry of the word, which can fill all of these kind of spaces. And so what I think I'm going to be providing throughout this is going to be some real practical application of how do we help explain these things, how do we help implement some of these aspects within our parish life, how do we think theologically and philosophically, and maybe about some of the catechetical endeavors that our parish is taking on. What are some of those important ways that we can evangelize and bring these out to the world? And so that's a little bit about me. And so we do have a couple of questions that we want to begin with. They were emailed to us first, and then we'll get to some of the comments that people have written in. But one of the first questions we had, and maybe we can explain just a little bit more about how CSA works. And so one of the questions that we received was, how many hours will a student need to put in each week? Mm-hmm. And so the way that Catholic Studies Academy works is it's a subscription base. So the best way I can explain it is to think of it like a magazine. Each month you get a magazine, you have the content there, you can digest it, and you have that magazine saved. You can go back to it later. Particularly for those of you that are in our 2 levels of the scholar and the fellow, it's going to be very similar, and also for the student as well. You pay a monthly subscription, but each week we're going to be rolling out a new class. And so when you look at what kind of time is involved, well, each lecture is about a half an hour.
Right.
And you're also going to look at the professors, while the courses, we tried to balance between the academic but also the casual learner. And so while the courses are academic and the lecturers will be pointing you to really good sources, they're also, the lectures and the courses are not kind of book driven or source driven in that way. And so I would say realistically what you're looking to put in each week is a half hour for the video, and then we have an online forum where it's password protected, so you don't have to worry about internet trolls finding you and critiquing every single letter that you ever wrote. God forbid you should make a mistake online. So you don't have to worry about any of that. There'll be great interaction with like-minded Catholics on the forum. And so you can spend as much time as you want in that forum.
Right.
But I would say realistically, when you're talking about the reading, the lecture, and some interaction online, you're looking at maybe an hour and a half a week or so. And then another question we had.
Just say,
go ahead.
But it's important to also know that, especially in for the level of the scholars and for the level of the fellows, once you have that content, it's your content. And so you can listen to it. I mean, if your week gets busy, you can access that in a more flexible way, right? So don't think of this as a situation where you have to do 2 hours every single week. If life gets crazy and you need to do it another way or another time, that's fine too. And of course, you can go back to the content as well. So it's really set up to be as flexible as possible to make it easy for you to access.
Yeah. And then, and if you don't get to it that week, don't worry. you can do it next week as
Right,
well.
sure.
The content will always be there, so that's good. So another question that somebody asked was, how do we pay? So, or what is the payment like? So we tried to make this as accessible. So you'll see ads out there for programs that are affordable, but for most of us, that's a varying degree. So we tried to really make this as affordable as possible. And so the 3 levels we have, and actually right now until June 7th, we have a sale. So we're giving a discount for those that are going to join us from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And so the student rate is going to be $30, and that'll go up June 7th. The scholar rate is $47, and then the fellow rate is going to be $99 a month. And so one thing we are having with our launch sale as well is that you have the option to pay your yearly tuition. So you can pay for the full year right away. And what we do there is if you pay for the full year, we're going to give you a month free. And so if you go onto our website, CatholicStudiesAcademy.com, you can find those rates on there, and you can pay for the whole year's tuition right away. You get a month free. And what that'll, what do you get maybe in the year? You're going to get the 4 theology courses, you're going to get 4 philosophy courses, and you're going to get all of the extra content that we're going to be providing, which maybe Dr. Smith, you could tell us, what else do they get besides the courses?
In addition to the courses, you're going to get, of course, a library of articles. That's going to be an expanding library of articles. These will vary some degree in depth, but they're all going to be of a scholarly level. So there'll be some essays, there'll be some research papers. Dr. Bulzachelli is putting together some stuff. I think this is going to be really valuable for you. If you want to go deeper into these things, you're going to have all the opportunity you ever wanted, right, to go deeper into these things. And so we'll be adding to them. And also, you can, students, members of the Academy will have the opportunity to suggest things to us, so that if they're interested in, if you're interested in a topic that we haven't covered, you'd like to see some scholarly research on it or something like that, we'd be happy to respond. We can't respond immediately probably and get it done, but we can respond and develop material that will meet what you want and what you're interested in learning more about. In addition to that, we're also going to have a podcast, which are going to be really important and useful. They're going to come out every week. We're going to have a podcast, and it's going to be a lot of fun to do. And you're going to get to be involved in our conversations about philosophy and theology. In addition to that, we're going to have the forum where, Dr. Bulzachelli or myself or Jason are going to be on the forum in a live way a couple times a week so that you can just show up. We'll let you know when we're going to be live, and you can show up on the forum and ask us questions about the course, questions about other topics. So you're going to get a lot of value here. You're going to get the forums, you're going to get podcasts, and you're going to get the library of articles. So it's a lot of content and value you're going to get as a member of the Academy.
Yeah, and I think one thing Dr. Smith said that is also, like he said, we also want to, as we're rolling out the courses, is to ask y'all what it is that you're interested in, and maybe develop courses throughout the year, or somewhat sooner to bring you more of a fuller picture. Because there's a lot of I think a lot of times people go online, and you'll read an article or something like that where the oldest source is some document from Vatican II.
Sure.
But the breadth of the Church's intellectual tradition is a lot wider than that. Mm-hmm. And so maybe Dr. Bulzachelli, maybe you can answer. Some people are asking, who would benefit from this systematic study of theology and philosophy, and maybe what some of the benefits may be.
Right. Well, I can think of numerous people who would benefit. All right. So first would be the person who is generally interested, likes the idea of doing an undergraduate degree in philosophy or theology, but who, for whatever reason, has not had the opportunity to do so, or will never. Maybe that ship has sailed. Mm-hmm. You're at a stage in your life where you're just not going back to college.
Right.
Or you're maybe of college age, right, looking at college, and you're thinking, yeah, I want that, but I need to be practical about certain other considerations. I completely understand that. So this gives one, in a situation like that, an opportunity to receive the kind of exposure that one would have in a philosophy major and a theology major, to the courses in these disciplines. But at a really solidly Catholic school, right, and not just any school. Okay.
Sure. Right.
But have all the fun and very little of the burden, right? So so you don't have to write the papers, but you do get to have the conversations, and you do get to listen to the material from people with reputations, people with credentials, who can be trusted. Now, that's one group of people. There are numerous other groups. If you did a degree in philosophy or theology or even both,
Right.
but now you find that you've graduated and you're out in the world and you look around yourself and nobody talks about these things anymore. And
Really?
you find, and you find that you just can't take it anymore. That
You've run out of bourbon, and you have to do
just
something.
need to talk. You just need
That's
to be
right.
in that conversation.
That's right.
Well, this is a way to keep that alive.
Yeah.
Okay, and I can imagine easily that somebody in that situation would want to be part of this program.
Sure.
The costs that we're talking about, of course, are so low in comparison to auditing at a degree-granting institution.
Yeah. If you can find a faithful one.
If you can find a faithful one and don't have to move, so it's no, I mean, come on, right? So that's just two groups. Then I would say, you mentioned deacons, right? So how many people, how many deacons are there out there? I used to know the answer to this question. Off the top of my head, I can't recall, but it's quite a lot. There are a number of permanent deacons out there, right? And they have generally gone through some sort of formation before being ordained. But afterwards, they may want something more than they've gotten up to this point. Again, this is another way to continue one's formation, right? To keep ongoing intellectual formation in the disciplines that come to bear on one's ministry, right? Now, you could say, well, how many times does a person need to go through this, right? If I've done even I've got as far as a master's degree, do I need any more?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you ever have enough of loving wisdom?
Right, I don't know.
Can you love
I'm done now.
Can you love
finished.
wisdom too much?
Yeah.
I don't. Right, is there too much justice? That was the question. So, is there such a thing as too much theology? I don't know the answer. I haven't been able to answer that question yet myself.
The answer's
so
no.
right.
And he's gotten degrees trying to find it. We've clarified that he has too many.
It's all right.
But the point, but seriously, a new perspective. You didn't take a degree. Well, some of you might have took a degree with me, right? But many people out there, of course, I would imagine the majority of people who would actually enroll in this institution never took. They didn't take their degree with me, or they didn't take it with Dr. Smith.
Right.
We offer another approach to these disciplines.
Yeah, and I can speak to that firsthand because when I did a master's at Steubenville, and then I went and did a master's over at Maryvale. So, and I was kind of bummed. I'm like, all right, I got to do a second master's. But when I got into the courses and I had new material and I had these English professors who were, introducing me to new authors, and again, like you said, I don't know how many classes on sacraments I've taken, but each one has added something. Each one is there, and I think so. I mean, from that perspective of coming at it from maybe I have studied these things, but I don't think we can ever have enough teachers.
Right.
It's important. I think it's important to always do that, and not just for being able to explain the faith or something like that, but just being able to meditate. So even if you're not in like a active apostolate, I think somebody that just wants to enrich their prayer life can go through these things to sit there. The mysteries of God are not something to just be solved. That the mysteries of God are something to be pondered and to be entered into. And I think the best way that we can do that is through the formation of our intellect. And again, both from a philosophical point of view and a theological point of view, and from professors and lecturers that are solidly Catholic, without a doubt, faithful to the magisterium and her teachings. And so, all right, we're coming up on a half hour, so we're going to bring this to a close. But we just want to invite everybody. Thank you for joining us today. And please check us out at CatholicStudies.com. Shoot us an email.
Academy.
Sorry, CatholicStudiesAcademy.com. This is still new. We're all still getting there. And so we just want to thank you for joining us on Facebook here. Please send us an email. Let us know. Shoot us in the comments. Shoot us a Facebook message if you have any other questions. And we'll be doing these somewhat often, so you'll see us back on here. If you have any questions or anything you want us to address, feel free to shoot us a comment, and we'll get to those. So, thanks a lot. God bless.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
See you guys.